No, I just hit we are live.
Oh,
Like I'm
just
done
live.
with
No
that.
warning. Cold
Nope,
open. We're
I'm done
live.
with
All
that.
right, cool.
We're professionals. We're radio professionals. That's the bottom line. We're here to present a show, and we're going to do it. That's it.
All right, cool. All right, now that's where we're gonna start out. I was expecting. I was like, all right, cool. We're gonna launch numbers. All right. Well, hey folks, welcome to our Thursday night / Friday show. Sorry, our fake news Friday show here on A Free Solution. Appreciate y'all joining us. As you know, again, this is the free content. This stuff ain't going out of radio, but we'll do our radio introductions in a minute. Of course, if you folks are listening online, you catch part of the show. Make sure you leave your comments. We're live on all the
Things.
Free Solution pages, all the Kevin Wilson pages, all the Tim pages, wherever you're listening. Appreciate you. Facebook user says, "Evening, fellas."
Look at that. I got a feeling they're entering through the portal, the Oneonta Area Business and Politics portal, or the Free Solution Facebook page portal, and they haven't given StreamYard permission to use their name.
Yeah, now you gotta give up some of your privacy to StreamYard just a little bit. We're gonna be talking about Facebook today.
Yeah.
And
Thank
why
you.
we
Joe
should
Rogan,
trust our benevolent overlords with
Joe
everything,
Rogan is
all of our
tanking
data.
them. Joe Rogan is taking them out.
Joe Rogan is taking
It's Joe Rogan. I made the case on my radio show. You'll have to listen to the radio show.
I haven't caught that one yet today. I'm in the
have.
office on Thursdays, so I
look,
did not
excuses,
catch it.
like everybody's got them, bud. Everybody.
So I was catch up on the weekends. But hey, Shelly, thanks for joining us. All right. So, well, suppose we should get started. Yeah, again, folks, you got anything for us? Right now, did we name this show?
I did. It's a Friday free for all. We're going to talk about masks. We're going to talk about Facebook. We're going to talk about, those things that we talk about.
Oh, yeah. All right. Some surprises in there.
Yeah. Well, we're just going to mix it up.
All right, cool. All right. So we'll get started in 10 seconds. Welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor. Welcome, folks. Thank you for joining us, whether you're listening on WISL, WACK out New York, or all of our friends listening online on the Free Solution Facebook page, Free Solution YouTube channel, the Free Solution group, the Tim pages, the Kevin pages, wherever you are. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. It's, of course, Fake News Friday. Tim and I have a bunch of great stuff to talk about today, a bunch of fun topics. We get weird on Fridays. We might get weird. Where is it?
Kevin, I'm grumpy again.
Grumpy again? You're always grumpy.
Well, I just don't think the government's handling this COVID thing very well. I got to be honest with you.
Never are. We know that.
They're horrible, man. They're horrible.
So what specific thing though? Like, we gotta keep it fresh. What specific thing? There's news. There's things happening.
There is news, but the big news is now every single person in New York State can go into stores unless the store requests you to wear a mask and not wear a mask, right? But kids, and look, I know maybe people are getting bored of hearing about it, but kids in school are still required to wear masks. My kid's going to be wrestling this week. He's going to be wrestling with a mask on his chin, like all of the kids do. And somehow the science of compliance steps up and says, that's how we should do it. It's craziness.
Yeah, no, it's one of those goofy things. Like, all right, like, you can convince any policy to stay in place if it's for the safety of children, right? And that's what people are still saying. Okay, it's to keep the children safe, good evidence or not, and we've certainly talked about that quite a bit. That's how people feel. Oh, we got to keep the kids safe, even though they're vaccinated, a lot of them, and the way it impacts them is it's pretty rare for them to get extremely sick. Again, not impossible. I know it happens, just as rare as like kids getting really sick from the flu, which we haven't been masking up our kids for the last 20 years for that. So yeah, maybe it's time to reconsider that policy.
Maybe it's time.
It's time.
It's like Mary Bassett, the Bassett lady has roots in our area. Okay, at least that's my theory, because our hospital is named Bassett Hospital. So this
Oh,
again, generational wealth, and then they get appointed to high positions of power, and here they are running their mouths, and she's kind of like, well, we should still mask here and there, and she's making other rules besides what Kathy Hochul's making, which the executive order was never really an executive order. People, like, what's the word, foiled it and found that there's no official written executive order. She just used the health department to make some rules. So
right.
congratulations, New York. That's what you got running the show.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, and I don't know if that's the legal way to do that. But I mean, just speak to the mask in schools thing. It's interesting because a lot of schools are starting to push the governor to be like, hey, let's make this an individual district decision. We can set some best practices based on like COVID numbers, things like that. Like if that's what you want to do. But like, at this point, should this be a statewide mandate for masks? Uh, Maybe not. Again, and some of the folks who work in this system are starting to suggest that as well.
Well,
Um,
Livingston County, right out, is that's
oh
somewhat
yeah,
near
yeah, yeah.
you, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, it's just south of me. I almost
Okay.
forgot to mention that. I'm gonna
Well,
have to
kind
go
of a
look up
shout
that.
out to Livingston County. They're saying things like, look, we support local decision making for our school district. Um, let's return to some semblance of normalcy and home rule. The
Yeah.
state is behind on this issue and needs to turn decision making control back over to the school districts, which, hello, like, isn't, I don't know. I
Yeah,
thought that's
yeah.
what
So let me
paid
let
my
me read part
taxes
of
for.
this press release I got a couple days ago, which is it says, county supports local decision making for schools. On Monday, February 7th, 2022, the Livingston County Ways and Means Committee passed a resolution in support of a recent letter from the Livingston County school superintendents to the governor, asking for local control to be fully restored to school districts as related to public health regulations and mandates. And so this is a letter signed by the superintendents of the districts, or the K through 12, and the county is backing it up. So that's the press release I got. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, the superintendents were the ones who actually said, this should go back to local control. And again, this isn't just something isolated to Livingston County. To Monroe County superintendent sent a similar letter, asking for a strategy. It's like, okay, like give us a set of metrics, give us a path forward. Like, so how do we know when this is going to move in a direction where we aren't going to have masking and constant testing and everything else? Right now, there's no guidance on this stuff. It doesn't seem like it's guided by science. It seems like it's guided by
Yeah.
feeling, and that's something that can make people really unnerved, and it makes people really mad. And
So they're
good.
begging for guidance from the people that have failed at giving them guidance. So my question is when do they say, all right, enough, okay? Like, this is enough. You guys don't know the metrics of our county. You're forcing every kid to respond to the same metrics that are imagined in your mind at this moment in time, okay? So knock it off. Here's our metrics. Our county has 0 COVID rates cases right now. Our kids don't need to be in masks. That's it. Okay, that's it. I'm done. 75 kids today, Kevin. 75 kids went to school, Saratoga County or Albany County, I'm not sure where, got rounded up, put in a cafeteria, and sent home because they refused to wear their masks. And okay, like that's reality.
Yeah, like what is that?
They're gonna
Super
see more of it,
helpful,
right?
right? Like what? Why are we again? The goal is to try to keep kids in school in theory, right? Like, I mean, the,
In
the
theory,
libertarian in me
yeah.
is like everyone should just homeschool, like just abolish it. No,
That's
I'm
the thing,
half
right?
not. I'm joking, sort of, but
That's I saw some representative, some liberal rep saying, "Look, if you don't like it, homeschool your kids." That's like, okay,
well, don't
all
tempt
right,
me with
you
a
win. Twist
good
my arm,
time. That's yeah.
twist my arm. And look,
Um,
there's money out there available to help you fund your
well,
homeschooling of your students. So
oh no,
take
sure, there's that
advantage
stuff.
of it.
So, so getting back to your thing, when our superintendents could do that, it's tough for them to do that. I get, like, you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you, and I
They
don't
won't.
know. I haven't seen, not that this isn't out there, but I haven't seen anyone who's gone further than that to say like we are not going to do this. They've just said like, hey, we need to stop doing this, and you need to make a plan. And it's totally reasonable to ask for, well, what is your decision making criteria for continuing COVID restrictions in a school space, because it is having impact on the learning environment.
It absolutely is. Look, I read that article. We probably all saw it, right? Where there's speech problems have increased something like 350%, or because of they're attributing it to, and we'll cover that comment. That's a good one.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they're attributing it to the mask. I think that's obvious, but I'm not a scientist and whatever.
Right. And I'll throw all my caveats again. Like if you want to wear a mask, that's fine. There's some effectiveness to certain types of masks. We've learned a little bit more now. Maybe the cloth mask not so helpful. Surgical mask in the middle. Ish. And
The
ish, big
right,
ish.
the
But
issue is, people, with all due respect, if your kid is immunocompromised, right, and you think that my kid and his 25 friends, this doesn't sound nice, and I don't feel good about saying it this way, but wearing masks on their chins and ignoring the teachers every chance they get, if you think your child's safe in that environment, I think you're wrong, okay? And so if your child's immunocompromised, doesn't it I want your child to be safe. I don't want you to believe that they're safe under false pretenses, because they're not. Even the most expensive, sharp looking, and guys, masks don't look good to me, but I did see some today. They must have cost like $50 a piece. Like people going to the Hall of Fame, and they walk into the gas station I'm in, and they're just like shiny and like, I don't know, baseball oriented kind of stuff. I'm like, all right,
yeah, fun.
that's almost attractive, but like I still hate masks. And but I'm like,
This is
if
visceral.
that even that mask is not offering
Oh my
anybody any
goodness.
protection. Like, you need to get the
And the
N95 stuff.
fancy one? Yeah, right. I mean, that's what it is, It we kinda know more. That's what seems to work better. There's some stuff to say, some evidence of particle spread, but it's like, man, it's less. We know a bit more now, and you need to adjust accordingly. And it's not realistic to have like N95 masks. Like to me, like being in one of those all day, which provides actual protection, is tough. Again, I've worked on job sites where I've worn those for like hours at a time. It's rough going, but
I've worked on job sites where they've tried to make me wear those, and look, it like,
no one will tell you what to do,
nobody
Tim.
tells me what to do, man.
All right,
And
hold
there's
on.
tons.
We got to go to break though. All
Ah,
right, so thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Appreciate y'all being here. We're gonna be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon. And section one's over.
yeah,
Never gonna wear it to the job site, Tim. You're just like, yeah, just gonna breathe
luckily,
in all the particles.
I suppose if I don't know, like I'm not sure they could pay me enough money per hour to show up to wear and make me wear a mask on top of it. There was a job where they were requesting us to wear masks, and when well, no, I just didn't. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah, you ain't
I
gonna do
just
it.
couldn't do it. Besides, I'm running around sweating. Even when it's cold out, I'm not like, okay. Sorry, I'm breathing on you. But I
Yeah.
also don't really like working hand in hand with people. So, like, you go over there and work, I'll work here. Stay away from me.
Yeah, no, and yeah, get not like not spending money on masks every week too. I,
Yeah.
I got like I got one thing of like the KN95s,
Mhm.
which I use. You can reuse them a little bit too. Like there's so I have like my one that I have like at work.
Yes.
You're supposed to like leave it out, right? Like you can't like stuff it in your pocket and reuse it every day and let it get damp. You've got to like keep it in a bag, let it dry out, and
Yeah, without pointing specific fingers, I'm very intimately related to someone that has to wear N95 masks, and their company has come up with a set of standard cleaning guidelines to do daily so that you can make your N95 mask last like 4 or 5 days. It's
right.
amazing. I'm like, no,
Ways
thank you.
There are ways you can do it. It's gonna get a bit musty if you're wearing it day after day, though. You don't really want to
I'm
do
with this
that.
guy. I
We
think I
don't
know what
need
he's
no
doing.
stinking
We don't need no
masks.
stinking masks. We don't need no stinking badges either.
Oh goodness. All right. We'll go back in at 15. I don't know. I'll still stick with my, like masks can be appropriate in certain situations. I'm not against it being in like healthcare settings. Like I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Like
Look,
if you're gonna go into the hospital all sick and whatnot, yeah, put some over your face. Like don't spread your germs everywhere.
yeah, look, I, I get pretty wound up. And then I'm afraid I say things a little stronger than I mean them. Like, it's a freedom issue for me. It's a my health is my risk issue for me. And so that's where I'm at with it. I do like look if an old guy runs a restaurant near me and he wants me to wear a mask when I go in to buy food. Okay, I'm gonna wear the mask and I'm gonna go in and buy the food, like out of respect for that guy. But like when the impersonal Walmarts of the world are just standing there saying these are the rules, I'll be like, yeah, okay, chase me around the store, make me leave. I don't care.
I mean, to be honest, they probably won't do that because there's a few times where like I like biked in to a store around here once and I like my mask was hanging on my ear because I'd just gone to another store. It blew off my face. And I was like, I'm not biking back to my house to go get a new mask. If someone like stops me at the door, I was like, hey man, my mask blew off my face. You give me a new one. And I was like, I'm just like, I gotta get like anything in this section and I'm gonna get out. No, most people don't care.
Yeah. I'll be honest.
Not trying to be a jerk about it, it's just
they had a guy at the door of Lowe's a couple weeks ago that I had to go in there for something, and he's like very nicely, "Hey, bud, would you like a mask?" And I'm like, okay, like he was just really nice about it, and it just didn't. I don't know. And then I wore it as a chin diaper around the store, me and like everybody, because he was asking everybody, giving them free masks. So
there you go. So all it takes for you to capitulate to the mask word, it's just asking nicely.
That's honestly, maybe
that's fine.
I don't know. There's something
asking nicely is better than the force that the government uses, I suppose.
Just discuss it with me.
All right. Anyway, we should go back and do the actual show at some point. All right. So we'll go back in 17 minutes now. Okay. And we'll go to 29.
All right.
I don't know what we're talking about next. It's going to be a surprise. We're just going to go.
I don't know. What should we talk about? I want to make fun of Facebook.
Okay. We'll do that. 2. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor.
I'm here.
You're here.
I'm still mad. I don't think that Facebook is handling this COVID situation as well as it could.
Is it really Facebook's responsibility to handle the COVID situation? I don't know that it is their responsibility. Like we have foisted it upon them.
I don't know. They seem to have hired this whole crew of independent fact checkers who get to offer their opinions on stuff, and their opinions are garbage. And I'm tired of it. And I'm telling you right now, Kevin, I made the case. I don't know if you guys caught my show today, but I made the case and I proved it unequivocally, with beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Joe Rogan is tanking the stock price of Facebook.
Listen, I hadn't heard that one yet, so I don't know the argument. I'm sorry, I got to catch up and actually upload the podcast to the feed. So
I'm challenging everybody to think outside the box here. And what let's be honest, what has happened, okay, is that Facebook has stifled the free flow and free exchange of ideas. Like I used to have a lot of liberal friends that would come on my page and argue their points with me and call me names and get really mad at me. And I used to have a lot of them that did it. And Facebook changed the algorithm so that they wouldn't see my stuff because we would end up, arguing.
Right, just makes them mad. They want to see stuff that makes them mad. If they are mad, they will exit the platform, and they can't be served ads if they exit the platform.
It's japing, they call it. They jape me. They try to get me angry, and I have to figure out how to answer their questions without calling them names back. And it's like it's a real challenge. Like I'll be honest with you, and it's like so I'm well practiced in not calling people names, even though they're calling me names. So when I look at my Facebook feed and I see that it's really only people that agree with me, I'm sad about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you need to go look up your progressive friends and comment on their posts.
I don't know.
And start an argument. No.
Then they call me a Nazi
or say something nice. You can say something nice too. It's so have to start an argument. That's
I just use facts and friendly banter and they lose their minds.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. Yeah, that's the problem. Then you're not talking to the right folks. You got to talk to some smart folks who have a good discussion with you.
These guys tell me they're smart, Kevin.
They tell you no. It's you watch out for the folks who tell you they're smart.
Yeah.
I watch out. Oh, you're smart, huh? Okay.
All right.
Cool.
So let me kind of summarize the point about Joe Rogan, okay, and what the markets are realizing, because I know that they took a hit on their revenue predictions, but those things, if Facebook was growing healthily, people wouldn't be worried about it. What is happening is that finally, and I've been waiting for this for a long time, okay, is that somebody to step up and say, there's real competition out here. Nobody's paying attention to it. And now Facebook's losing its engagement with its platform, right? Because they're not sharing, like, let's say, Larry Sharp's videos anymore. Like, people aren't seeing that stuff. When you and I go live, I don't think people are seeing that stuff anymore. And I think Facebook does that deliberately, right? So maybe at one point it was they would share a notification with 50 people. And now that they've toned that down to like 25 or 15 or 10, and so now less people who might be interested in the show are seeing the notices from Facebook. And they banned basically positive, proactive voices like what's that guy's name? Shelly, you know the guy's name.
I don't know.
It's
I mean,
Anomaly. He calls himself Anomaly.
listen, Tim, for a mere $100, we can show our post to, I don't know, 10,000 people. I mean, they don't necessarily watch what we show them, but we can give Facebook money and pay to be in front of people.
Look, that's their right. I get that they run their business their way.
This is the libertarian future that we want, Tim.
Yeah. No.
This is capitalism.
Oh my God. That guy, Ian Michael Chong or whatever, still Gray on Twitter, comes out with this like, oh, that's the Canadian cops. The American cops would never do that. And I had to take a shot at the conservatives. I said to this Ian Michael Chong guy, this is the future that conservatives want, as we watch the Canadian police confiscate gasoline and confiscate wood from the protesting truckers. And again, like, look, I try to cover all the bases. I'm sympathetic to the human beings that live in Ottawa, but this COVID restriction stuff's gone on long enough.
Yeah, you jumped to a totally separate topic on me, and that surprised me. But no, yeah,
my brain does that sometimes.
You did. You're like, suddenly we talk about the truckers. I mean, it's fine. I was in the middle of like looking up like some evidence to prove that like Facebook wasn't biasing against any group. It's just like, maybe we have to do better. It's hard for small creators to get ahead. Like, it is what it is. Like, building the momentum to be able to get high engagement is tough. It's not. And if you have a list you should listen to my show with Sahar Masachi, who worked at Facebook, and he's like Facebook is biased in favor of conservatives, which I'm sure much of this audience would be skeptical of. But if you look, I'm
skeptical of it.
You look at there's this Twitter account. It's called Facebook's Top 10, and it tells you the top performing links by U.S. Facebook pages in the last 24 hours. Posted 10 hours ago. Number 1, link by Ben Shapiro. 2, TMZ, whatever. 3, Fox News. 4, Ben Shapiro. 5, also Ben Shapiro. 6, NPR. 7, Dan Bongino. 8, Franklin Graham. 9, comicbook.com. 10, Charlie Kirk. How many of those folks are well-known conservative figures?
Where's a free solution on that?
I know we got rookie numbers. We gotta pump those numbers up. Listen, y'all got to share some of our stuff.
Yeah, like, comment, share.
Yeah,
listen to the radio station. Call in when we're doing lives. Like, we love this stuff, man. We live for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're listening to us, out on the radio, you're not following us on a free solution on Facebook, do that. That's how we get the word out there. Anyway, enough shameless self-promotion. I mean, do you want to go in the direction of the Canadian trucker thing? We can talk about that, because I was prepared to talk about Facebook. And
well, did we cover the Facebook issue? I think you are presenting facts, and I am presenting feelings here. Okay, like this, and let's be honest, my feelings trump your facts right now. The bottom
don't
line
care about your feelings.
One of the facts. All right, explain how Facebook lost $234 billion in one day trading. Explain that.
People got freaked out about revenue projections over advertising revenue going down, and the loss of like future users too. People are saying, younger users are not staying on the platform anymore. They're going elsewhere, just turning off.
You've got to up this conspiracy theory, Kevin. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Like, it's more than that. It's more than that.
It's Joe Rogan.
People are realizing that Facebook has ruined our world. It's damaged our engaging with each other, and it's hurt people, and they're moving on. That's it.
That maybe. I mean, Facebook's gonna try to switch things up. I'm sure it's gonna be interesting because Facebook has a lot of potential to connect people and bring them together and make folks happy. It's just how much are they willing to mess with the algorithms to do that to achieve that goal versus achieving other types of goals. Again, listen to that episode with Sahar. It's great. I'll see if I can post a link in the comments.
Yeah,
We,
do
we
that.
talk about that. It's guy who worked there on the civic integrity teams. So interesting fella, but definitely very progressive.
So I do find it interesting that he actually is able to back up the fact with some facts actually, and you just demonstrated those facts that Facebook engagement is like its highest active. Would we say is conservative audiences
Yeah, I
engaging with
mean,
Facebook?
yeah, no, it's a lot of conservative audiences who are engaging with Facebook, sharing links,
That's
doing stuff.
interesting.
It's it that's what it is. And I'll post the link to that Twitter feed if anyone's interested. Is a lot of times it ends up being from conservative news outlets. On Twitter, a lot of the trending folks, a lot of trending stuff is progressive. Um, and then TikTok, I can't figure out. I don't know what's going on there.
All
One
right,
day
so
I'm getting like crazy conservative content. Next day I'm getting like communist propaganda. I don't know what's happening. It doesn't know what to do with me as a libertarian.
no, look, I will tell you that TikTok has a hard time with libertarians because there
Yeah.
will be. I will go on there one day, and it will be one liberal comment after the next, right? And then it'll be some kids talking about some 18-year-old kids talking about how if vax mandates and like they're scientists all of a sudden, and I'm just like, wow, this place is weird. And then what TikTok is really good for is humor, and they show me humor. And I'm going to tell you
Yeah, I
guys
like
something
that better.
about how to be an algorithm. Algorithms are response based, right? If your thing gets good responses, they will share it with more people. That's
Yeah.
how it works. That's why probably conservative media is reasonably successful on Facebook.
It's highly engaging. It was because Facebook biases towards engagement, right? So
Right.
they want you to comment, not just like, share, react, whatever, but they want you to comment, and then that comment says, okay, well, we're gonna show this person's friend that they commented on this because they might be interested, and then they comment too, and kind of builds from there.
Yeah.
And then
They did do. I feel like Facebook did some stuff with, especially with the fact checking that and they definitely suppressed some news organizations that were presenting some of the things that we now accept as fact.
oh, they were.
They suppressed some of that. Like
When
Zero Hedge got
I don't know if we
declassified.
talked about I don't know if we talked about like last week, but yeah, like the Wuhan virus like leak theory, right? Like if you
Yeah,
posted about that, like you get your account shut down, you get a whole page shut down.
yeah.
Now turns out maybe there's
Maybe
something
it
to that.
seems like science now.
Yeah. Some
You know what? Down the road, guys, we've got to. You guys know I talk about that every once in a while, but you and I got to do a spurious correlation and then a real correlation instead of fake news. We've got to do this statistical. Is this correlated or not? And is it like just because it's correlated doesn't mean it's causal? I get that, but we got to have that conversation because some things are causal that it, it would be a fun day for
Yeah.
us.
Oh, yeah, we do that. All right, but we're gonna have to. This will at least have to wait until a separate segment because we are out of time, folks. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Appreciate y'all being here wherever you're listening today. We're gonna be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon. All right. I'm
Man,
giving a few seconds out. I'm trying to give them more buffer
yeah,
until they shut down your account. And on
yeah.
TikTok, I know they're super picky there.
I,
How are you
I
still on the platform, Tim? I don't
I
understand. You're not being edgy enough.
I know. First of all, I haven't quite figured out how to make really good TikTok videos, so that's a problem. My videos are horrible, but I find funny stuff and I share that, and I duet with things that are good, and that's helped me. Like one day, I duetted with a guy talking about like how boys in school today don't even are unable to pick up on social cues. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I raised that kid. Like he's talking about my son right now because my son he just went through this whole thing and everything he said is something my son would say. Like this girl's like, hey, why don't you come over? We can study together. And he's like, well, why would we study? The test is not for 2 weeks away. And then she's like, well, I thought I could tutor you in the subject. He's like, well, with all due respect, my grade's better than yours. I don't, and then, the teacher goes, and then the
Just
same
not
kid,
picking up.
yeah, the same kid, like 2 days later, why are any girls interested in me? And it's just like, the teacher's just like, wow, bonehead.
Whatever. I can't criticize anyone for that. I remember I was like 24 and like I was at a bar and some dude goes up to me, he's like, hey man, nice hat, can I buy you a drink? And I was like, yeah, sure, and he bought me a beer and I was like, cool. And then I walked over to my wife and I was like, this nice guy just bought me a drink, and she's like, that guy was hitting on you. And I'm like, no, he just liked my hat.
No. See, I was a restaurant kid. I did a lot of restaurant stuff when I went to college and right after I got out of high school. And so there's always like been gay people around, and they were always pretty cool. But like sometimes they would hit on you, and you would just be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!" Like
I
I
did
had
not
that
pick
awareness.
up on it. I was just like, oh, super nice guy in a bar, bought me a PBR and complimented my cool hat. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
good day.
we would all run in crowds together when I was younger, and we all worked together. We'd go out drinking together. Everybody just kind of did things together, and it was just not as stressful as it appears to be anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's a lot of thinking about all that stuff. It's a lot of walking on eggshells with some stuff, but
yeah,
whatever. Depends on the crowd you're hanging out with, right?
Yeah.
So, anyhow, we should probably get back to the actual show again.
Let's do that.
All right, so we'll go back in at 32 minutes. Let's see. Are we gonna talk about Dave Chappelle, or are we gonna talk about some Joe Biden news?
Whew. Let's go with Dave Chappelle. We'll save Joe
right.
Biden stuff for last because that's always fake news.
Love it. I'm excited for that topic. Okay, back in 10. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Got Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor here.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate y'all listening wherever you're tuning in today, whether it's on WYSL, WACK out in Newark, or all the various places that we're online where you can leave a comment during the show too. The Free Solution Facebook page, Free Solution YouTube channel, Free Solution group, Tim pages, Kevin pages, all those pages all over the place. And as we said, help us beat the algorithm. Like, share, subscribe, do all those things.
The comments are the most important part, really. I get a little rush every time we get a comment, man.
No, the comments are fun because the comments makes it. Then we're having a conversation, right? It's great. It's interesting. All right, but no, we did want to move on from talking about Facebook, social media stuff, and we're going to talk about why we need to cancel Dave Chappelle.
Whoa. All right. First of all, if I can deal with saying Whoopi Goldberg shouldn't be canceled, at no point will it enter my consciousness to think that Dave Chappelle should be canceled. But I am curious as to what may have gotten you up in arms over Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle is a NIMBY.
Not in my backyard. Was it a nuclear plant? What's wrong with that guy?
No, not a nuclear plant.
Oh.
I mean, like, which you should allow into your backyards. I'm gonna try to get a variance for one.
Nice.
Just right here, just a little SMR. It's fine. It'll power my house. Don't worry about what I'm using all that power for. It's fine.
It's none of your business.
It's none of your business. That's right.
Am I hurting you? I'm not hurting you. You can have free lights. Deal with it.
No. So what Dave Chappelle was opposing is he apparently owns a home out in Yellow Springs, Colorado, and there's a housing development going in there. You know, there's a whole bunch of single family homes, and the concession for that was that they had to build some affordable housing associated with that too. And Dave Chappelle put his foot down and he said, no, if you're going to build the townhouses and the apartment buildings in this neighborhood, I will leave. I will sell my home. I will dump all my assets. I will walk away. I'm keeping this town alive. And I don't know, that seems super petty to me. I don't like it.
Yeah. I guess I don't like it either, but what I do know happens, all right, and that small town government favors zoning that is inappropriate, okay? and that zoning destroys property value, hurts people, and chases them away. We are in a small town, have no neighborhood businesses because they've zoned them out of existence. We have no like two-family residences where people are living downstairs and renting out rooms there upstairs because they've zoned them out of existence. Okay. I'm likening it to my life and saying, poor Dave Chappelle. Maybe you're saying that's not the case. I don't know.
No, I mean, so okay. Well, let's talk about the context of this actual situation here, right? So, like
Yeah.
Yellow Spring Shower, they wanted to build this development on this land that what nothing was really happening. A bunch of people want to live in this town, perhaps in part because of the investments people like Dave Chappelle are making there, right? But the
Right.
town says, okay, well, if you are going to build this, then you have to build some affordable housing there, right? You have to build townhouses. You have to build some stuff because what they're going to do is they're going to build a whole bunch of $300,000 single family homes, right? And in
Uh-huh.
part because like villages like that often zone it that way. You can't build townhouses. You can't build apartments unless the government directs you to in exchange for being able to develop the property that you own, right? So the whole
Right.
thing, like the government is not and has not been the good guy in this situation because they probably have a situation where housing is more expensive and you're unable to build these things in part because of their own policies. I haven't
Right.
studied this in detail, but you know, yeah, okay, you have this thing, you have this whole development, right? You know, okay, so the small concession is build some of these other houses so like some people who maybe can't afford to live in this like rapidly developing section of the village are able to also keep living there. So we have something that is less expensive. Again, I don't like affordable housing concessions. They drive me nuts because a lot
Okay.
of times you end up driving up the price of the rest of the housing. This is a thing that happens in like Rochester all the time. So, okay, we're going to build this new apartment building, but you're going to have to make 10-15% of it affordable housing. Okay, cool. We're going to just jack up the prices of everything else by an equivalent amount. So we recoup our costs anyway. And now the rest of the housing is less affordable to folks, but you have these dozen units who are set aside for, affordable housing.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, guys, I'm gonna go
I'm
back
kidding
to this.
about canceling Dave Chappelle, by the way. I
Well,
don't
I
really
know.
care
I
that
know.
much,
Yeah, I
but
know. I knew that. But zoning gets to be an issue, and we're all over New York State. People are realizing, waking up to the fact that zoning actually is an abridgment of their rights, and they're fighting zoning. And so basically, again, in this little city near me, they have zoning and regulations that basically have destroyed the side hustle of middle class America buying a house and renting it out, and then moving to another house and renting their last house out and building a sustainable, small business. What they did is decide they needed affordable housing. They made a contract with a developer. They changed the zoning for themselves so
right.
that they could put this stuff in. And guys, I'm telling you, like, that's the kind of nonsense that we're dealing with, and that's a reason why our population is so tenuous in New York State. Stuff like that because they don't know any better. They think they're doing the right thing, and they don't. They're not.
No, I mean that's what always happens, right? Is again, you get this mismatched systems. Don't do this unless we tell you to, and you can't develop your own land in the way you want. And again, like the thing that bugs me about this is a the government policy that caused this, right? And then B, you do have folks again, Dave Chappelle being one of them, who even in circumstances where people are trying to build legitimate, like not even affordable housing, but just like more than single family housing, people go nuts. And you mentioned
Right.
the property value destroying thing. That's the argument that they make and say, okay, you can't do with your land what you want because I worry that if some thing happens where you get someone in that apartment building who I find undesirable, my house price will go down. I'll lose my investment. But it's not necessarily your right to determine who gets to move in near you.
That's just something that plays out in society all day long, every day, right? Where we get afraid of someone damaging what we have because they're over there, but they're near us. And even when we talk about borders and stuff like that, I want to be a better human being about how we treat people that come here to make a living. And I think it's an issue where they make you afraid and they manipulate the outcome of they know exactly where you're going to go once they make you afraid. Then you're going to get angry. Then you're going to get ready to fight. Then you're going to buy their laws, and that's a problem. Like that's the issue. Everybody needs to chill the f out, like my kids say.
Chill the F out.
Chill
Yeah, all
the F
right.
out, man.
Well,
Chill out.
is that the next flag I need to make behind me? I got my "Don't tread on anyone,"
Ooh,
and then that's the one you need to get, the "Chill the
the
F out."
freedom variant says chill the F out.
There we go. Says the guy who started out the last 2 weeks, "Kevin, I'm angry."
Kevin, I'm angry. I am, but I am because. But look, I'm consistent. I'm angry at the big, powerful people that are manipulating the narrative and doing a horrible job at it. I don't like they're bad. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't like zoning for the most part because the government uses it to screw everyone.
yeah.
Like
Plan that stuff, and it's, again, it's tough. It's interesting. I remember, I had the mayor of, I think he's a county legislator now. Oh my goodness, I forget his name. Mayor Honeoye Falls on talking about zoning for a while. So if you want to hear like an in depth conversation from like a village mayor about like zoning
I,
issues and
he
trying
was
to like,
cool, man. I listened to that show. He was a good guy. He was cool. Yeah, I
yeah,
liked
now
him.
I'm
He-
mad that
And
I'm
so, like,
blanking on his name.
when I deal with individuals and they discuss things from their perspective, I am much nicer. When I see the overall impact of poor government policy and people being forced to be afraid to sell narratives, that's different for me, right? Like I can compartmentalize all of it. So that guy was talking about zoning and stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, he's still a nice guy. He's got good points.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure stuff out because in his mind, you find that balance, right? Of like, well, you don't want like the big factory right next to you. Okay, so maybe reasonable use of zoning, but like, can you build a duplex? Well, you know, maybe that's a bit more reasonable to have next to you. Why are we restricting that?
Yeah, I mean, and again, all over New York, we're dealing with land trusts getting gifted or granted property from county boards and town boards,
Oh,
and
we could
forgive me.
do a whole show on that one. We don't got
Yeah, we
time to
probably,
get into it because
we should.
that one's interesting, like community land trust types of things. I
Oh,
don't know
it's
how I
brutal, and
feel
then your
about
taxes
that.
go up, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. All right, but we got to go though. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We'll be back with a little Fake News Friday. Talk to
we
you
got lots of
soon.
good stuff. Lots of good stuff.
All right. Radio section over. Oh, okay. Clifton. I don't think there's any problem with people coming here to make a living, but it turns into bringing everyone in and giving them everything for free, and they end up with more rights than us. I don't think anyone's ending up with more rights than us. I think you're wrong on that one. I mean, you could just like stop. I don't know. No one likes my nerd points where I'm like, well, actually, immigrants are net contributors to the welfare system. No one believes me on that. It's got a bunch of Cato papers to back it up, but
Well, it's a tough sell. All right, that people that sneak and come in illegally are a net contributor to the welfare system. But I could tell you a personal story. I know a guy that left his country when he was 16 to escape violence. Okay. So at 16, 15, can he apply for refugee status? He doesn't have a parent with him, like whatever. He just walked through the country, walked north, got here, has been paying taxes for 20 years, doesn't get a refund, and he can't even file his tax. He just keeps showing up for work. That's all he does. That's it. And so there's a certain amount of inequity there.
so
Now, I
he can't
think
pay his taxes.
he
So
pays taxes. He
it does
can't
pay his
file
tax.
a tax return.
Can't tell tax return. Okay.
Whatever. I
Yeah.
didn't quite understand all of it, and I'm like, well, just file your
Well,
tax.
I mean, it's part of it, right? Like sometimes you have payroll taxes and everything, but especially if you're undocumented,
Yeah.
then you just don't actually go through with the paperwork of that stuff because you're
I
probably not using a real social
per,
security number. And
right. Perhaps that's the issue, right? Perhaps he
yeah,
would not be if he was to get $20,000 or $50,000 of the money that he paid in back. Perhaps it wouldn't work, right? Like perhaps they would catch him. But there is there is programs where they take people from the border and they resettle them in communities, and they support those communities until those communities grow out into their own. And sometimes that ends up like Section 8 housing, where what we have done is create a trap for people, and a trap of angry people. And again, it's
oh yeah.
well-intentioned government programs that end up having the opposite effect of what
Well,
they
that's
were
what
intended
ends
to.
up happening. Like the U.S. is a little bit better about this in some ways than like what happens in a lot of European cities, because in a lot of European cities, that's what they do. Okay, migrants come in, you put them all in the government housing, and then you don't allow them to work. You say, okay, you can't take our native population's jobs. So then you have to be on the welfare system and you have to live in this government housing. So you're bored all day, you can't work, and like you're stuck in crappy government housing. What the heck do you think is going to happen? People are going to get angry and violent, and the native population is going to resent them because
And
they're
yeah,
leeching off the welfare. The US is not as bad as that. But
we do weird things though. Like
sure.
I'm losing my train of thought, but when it comes to like bringing people in and grouping them up and taking advantage of them, and we confuse and conflate issues, right? Like lots of people come here legally, they get fired from their job or their visa runs out, and they're expected to just disappear. Like
Yeah, right.
that seems very unfair to me. And look, agricultural visas for guys that come in and work on dairy farms and stuff like that, those guys are like honestly like slaves, okay? And the boss can get mad at them, so fire them, and they know they lose because they lose their sponsor, they lose their visa, and now they're stuck in a quandary where they were getting paid nothing, working 60 hours a week or more, probably more, moving cow poop and putting milk in jugs, or not milk in jugs, milk in the milk tank. There, it's unfair. It's not right. Okay,
Yeah. Well,
so I
we
don't know.
haven't talked about it. I'm trying to find a good farmer to come on if anyone knows one to talk about the overtime rules for farms.
Right, they can go to other states and work as many hours as they want. We're
Yeah.
every intended is well intentioned, but
Well
it's going to be a mess.
intentioned. It's gonna make it makes some pretty serious labor issues though.
It's going, yeah, it's going to
Yeah.
absolutely.
So all right. Anyway, we should do our show. It's especially
Yeah,
since
I know I'm dragging it down on you, Tim. We're getting south sidetracked here in these. And thanks, Cliff, for the comment. Cliff's a buddy of mine.
yeah,
He definitely flirts
appreciate
with
it, Cliff.
libertarianism. Obviously most of my friends, because we all kind of lean conservative. They like my views on guns, though.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's go back in 5. Welcome back to A Free Solution. It's Fake News Friday. Appreciate y'all joining us here today. Wherever you're listening, WYSL, WACK out in Newark, or our friends listening online. Appreciate y'all listening in. And we got some fake news for you.
We
All right,
we
Tim,
don't.
do you want to go? I have a feeling that we have at least a couple of the same
Oh,
stories
we do,
here.
but probably this would. But I mean, okay. All right. So look, sometimes it's hard to tell real news from fake news, and that's what this segment of the show is about. Right now, in I believe it's Hudson, New York. They have a park that the community owns, but there's a big, huge place of like where you could be ice fishing, right? So the mayor of Hudson is at a council meeting, and they're talking about whether they should grant ice fishing permits. And the mayor said ice fishing leads to prostitution. Could that be real news?
So I've seen the story.
Oh, dang it.
I don't think it was Hudson, but there is someone who said something to that extent. So what do you say?
Okay. All right. So basically, like, I think sometimes when people are sitting in town board meetings, they get a little bored and their mind goes numb. All right. Because this guy's going, all right. So if we allow permits for ice fishing, then the next year people are going to come and say, well, we need permits for ice fishing shanties.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to grant those. And he goes, but then there's another problem. He goes, ice fishing shanties lead to prostitution. Guys, check it out.
Immediately. Jets, just next thing,
It,
you build the shanties. That's why you gotta use zoning to prohibit those.
I
That's
don't know how he made that connection. I don't quite. I want more information. It was maybe there is a logical connection that somehow ice fishing shanties will lead to prostitution. Guys, I live on a lake. There's ice fishing shanties out behind my house right now.
yeah.
I don't see a lot of like escort services pulling up, and I don't see a lot of that kind of activity. I
That
don't think
is
it's
an
going on.
unrealized business opportunity behind Tim's house.
I didn't even think about that. There's no laws against it, perhaps. I don't know. Like, ice fishing shanties lead to
Uh,
prostitution.
yeah,
I was
no. So that's no. It's yeah. Yeah, again, most folks who are using like any of the like the shacks that you've ever put on. Again, most of the time it's two dudes drinking beer, freezing, hanging
telling
out in
each other,
that thing. Yeah, that's
reliving their glory days, man. Remember when I threw that 100-yard touchdown pass? Yeah, okay, all right. I guess that's how it went.
yeah, sure. That's what it is. But you do
I
whatever
remember,
you do whatever you want. That's who am I to judge what you do with your ice shack? Like you're a free American, and like however you want to do that, monetize your ice shanty. I mean the mayor, or is it the mayor? Yeah, it's an Ohio mayor is the one I found. Maybe you looked at a different one, but he said
okay.
there's just data points to consider. He said, um, data points about this phenomenon, like why you got to stop it, stop the ice fishing, stop the shacks from going up. You know, it's like dominoes, like it's predictable. We know it's going to happen.
Do they maybe not know that ice fishing shanties go out on the ice and then come back in off of the ice? Like, are they thinking that it's
What's
going to be a
it
little
permanent?
shanty town? Like, do they not know? Maybe that could be what it
They
is.
just
They
don't know.
just
I mean,
don't
like,
know.
I hope that's not an important thing in that
Nope.
town. It's
It's it.
because
Look, it's
yeah, like
very.
usually, yeah, you're probably not. I mean, maybe in some places, but like most of the time, like I wouldn't trust like yeah, you get a series of warm days. Like do you leave it on the ice?
I I
When
I can answer that, right?
all
It's
right,
a huge fine from the DC, and you lose your license if you
if
screw
you
up
leave it
and
out,
your ice fishing shanty falls in the lake. It's a big,
big
big,
fun.
big deal. It's a huge deal.
Right. So
So
yeah, you really don't want to do that. You don't want to take a risk going out on ice
no,
that isn't going to be able to support it, which you probably shouldn't be out there anyway.
right.
And two, leaving it out there and either having someone take it or having the DEC show up and be mad and
Oh yeah,
finding
no,
you.
it's a really, I mean, you need to be responsible. Like you could set up an ice shanty if you have the permits, right? And leave it there for days and weeks. Okay, that's fine as long as it's
Yeah,
middle of winter, whatever. But if it goes into the
the
water
water.
and becomes a salvage job, the DC will salvage it. They will charge you, they will fine you, and you will lose your fishing licenses and stuff like
Well,
that. Right? They come take
that's
you
good to
down.
know. I have always mooched off of my friends whenever I've gone ice fishing. I've never actually owned one, so good to know.
Yeah. Um, most of the time we just go out and freeze with no ice shanties. We just
Yeah, that's my normal experience.
yeah.
If I've ever gone ice fishing, I was like, all right, we're gonna go to the canal, and oh, okay, these fish are too gross to and full of parasites to eat.
Yeah.
Anyway, go put them back.
It's usually just an excuse to drink beer
Basically,
and try to figure out how to stay warm out in the middle of the freezing cold weather.
yeah.
I don't
'Cause
know.
half the time it's like, okay, now I don't have any trees blocking the wind, and I'm out on this open body of water, freezing, and
Ice fishing's crazy.
okay, and then your friend says, "Shut up, quit whining, drink another beer."
Yeah. Drink enough beer so that doesn't bother you anymore.
All
That's
right.
it.
Anyway, we
We
should
gotta
get
change
on.
subject. But this one was funny, man. I mean, that was this
Yeah.
guy. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
no, that's wild. Yeah, I got a kick out of that one. I was curious, curious if you saw that too. All right, so let's talk about this other headline. It's news coming out of the Biden administration. Very very serious federal government policy going on here. Biden administration wants to fund programs distributing crack pipes. Real news or fake news?
Okay, I'm gonna go with first of all, I know the whole story, so I hate it when that happens. I know the entire story.
Oh,
What they did was they came out and said, we are going to give people crack pipes. And then they said, ha, gotcha, conservatives. We made you mad. What we're really doing is giving out care packages to people that smoke crack and methamphetamine.
with safe
With
smoking supplies.
with smoking supplies, correct, right.
Yes.
So it's true, but they're trying
Yeah.
to like say, and look, guys, as a libertarian, like I'm like pretty wide open. Harm reduction is a valid thing, but these guys are jokers and clowns. And what everyone should have in unison in one voice should have said, you know what? You guys caused the increase in drug addiction with your COVID mandates, your COVID lockdowns, and the nightmares, dystopian stuff that you've done for the last 2 years. Everybody with one voice should have said that. And then Joe Biden would resign. And so would Kamala Harris. They would know in shame. They would hang their heads in shame and walk away.
Yeah. That would be great. I do not think that's going to happen.
No.
It would be
No.
nice. Yeah. So when I was reading up on this story, though, first of all, people keep using images of different smoking devices. Like there's one I saw for the Daily Wire. It had like marijuana leaves on them. Like, guys, it's not the same thing.
How do
It's
you know?
different. Like not that matters that much, but it's different. And the image should have given you a clue. But whatever. The harm reduction thing. Like I get like the needle thing a bit more. I couldn't quite grok it and still haven't quite found a good reason why like smoking supplies is kind of that same equivalent.
Right.
I know
I,
they're like pretty
I,
dangerous ways to smoke that people use.
yeah. I traveled down the
But
wormhole, Kevin. Okay.
oh,
I
did you?
traveled
Did you
entirely
find the
down the
reason?
wormhole.
Like,
All right, so there's going to be chapstick in there. Look, guys, I'm not kidding. Okay, there's going to be chapstick in there for them to protect their lips. There's going to be other because when you're desperate for a hit of drugs, you will smoke it right off of some. You'll walk up to somebody random in the street and share their pipe with them, and so you need to protect yourself with chapstick. There's
all right.
and or if you can get a rock from them for your own pipe that was graciously given to you by the government, you can do that. So that's we're lowering the spread of disease is the
So that's
argument.
the goal. So there's a reason for that. Like get out like the needle exchange program, like I got a bit more, right? Like people were using like the same needles and that's what spread like AIDS and
Yeah.
there's some pretty serious issues. So like I believe that there might be a good reason. I just didn't quite understand that one as well. And I'll point out too that it isn't the only thing that's going for it. It is also like it's like 30 million like over a couple years going out to the substance abuse and mental I should know this. But basically like substance abuse services like sponsored by the federal government, and so it's a it's like a whole package of support services for people with substance abuse. So I don't know how many millions are going towards crack pipes specifically, although they are in there.
Hmm.
So it's real news in the sense. I do not know if you need a vaccine pass for that. Sorry.
I thought that was a great question. I'm glad you. Um, and look, guys, I do want to always I do like expressing things in a way where I feel like we could find common ground. Like I
Yeah.
am against the war on drugs, and I'm against free crack paraphernalia and methamphetamine paraphernalia to be given out from the government. Like I'm
Yeah. I mean,
against both of
there
those
like
things.
I kind of feel the same way. Like I'd rather not. I'd rather just not be a government funded thing. Like there probably like other nonprofit organizations who might be willing to do this stuff, and that's kind of my default position is that the government probably shouldn't pay for much of anything. So
Yeah.
fine, label me cranky
And
and stingy if you want, but
I don't think it could be emphasized enough that the government policies on COVID costing people their jobs, making them
yeah,
work at home, and those things contributed to the increase in violence, the increase
right.
in drug use, the increase in depression. They did it. They
Yeah.
did it.
If
And
we want to actually reduce harm, like, we need to solve some of those issues and the issues of inflation too that are, causing,
sure.
increased desperation. So there's all sorts of things. You don't have to just look at like solving the problem like right there. It's also like look at all these other issues that government causes that increase this. But
Yeah.
we do gotta get going though. Tim, any last points? You got like
Uh,
20 seconds.
yeah, Putin is ready, bud. He says he can wipe. I saw it on TikTok. It was him. He was speaking Russian,
Oh
but he's
goodness.
he's like NATO
You
cannot.
can't just open up a topic like that with 10 seconds left to go. All right. Thanks again for
Bam.
joining us here on A Free Solution. Appreciate y'all being here. We'll be back on Monday. Talk to you then. Have a great weekend, folks. Okay. Radio show's over. You're just dropping a bomb about Ukraine, right? All right, let's switch to Tim. You got 30 seconds left. Let's talk about Ukraine now. All
Yeah,
right.
Putin's gearing up, man. He's threatening to use nuclear force. He's like, you will. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
he's
no,
like,
I bet. What did I
he'll
pass
say like,
my?
we'll
Okay.
wipe NATO out, and your country will get drawn into this. That's it. That's it. That's how it's going to go.
Is that what he said? I haven't seen anything today on it. Just
he was speaking Russian, so
speaking Russian.
and the words on the screen said that that's what he was saying, and judging by his demeanor, it was probably something along that lines. So yes, I think he said it.
Maybe. All right. That's good fake news Friday that I could have done if we'd done some research. I don't know. I talked about that.
Tough one to do too seriously because it's like, who covers it? How do we get the best information?
That one's like legitimately tough because like stuff coming out of Russia is like bonkers. It's really tough to like figure out what's actually going on in some of those places because the government puts out like a whole bunch of their propaganda, and then you got like counter propaganda going on, and then you got whatever the heck the State Department's doing. Those jokers like
somebody
like, oh yeah, it's gonna be false flags attacks. Like, okay, can you prove it? Well, I said it, so isn't that proof enough? No,
this is
it's
our
not,
false
man.
flag. Do not doubt our false flag. We did talk about Paula. We talked about Joe Rogan. I talk about him every day. It's got
every day.
I'm
Why are
riding
we
on his
still talking
coattails,
about Joe
man.
Rogan? I'm ready to boycott the Joe Rogan thing until Joe invites me on his show. I'm not talking. I will no longer give him the lift of a free solution. Like he has ridden on my coattails for far too long. Sorry, Joe Rogan, cutting you off.
I'm going to pull myself off Spotify because Joe Rogan's on there, and that's not going to happen.
We've been still on Spot. Did we get kicked off of Spotify yet?
No, I don't. Not yet.
No, not yet.
I checked last week. We were still on there.
Oh, thank goodness. I haven't looked in a little bit.
I officially subscribe to our show.
Good.
Yeah.
I follow it through another podcast feed, but which I do have a spot. Well, my wife has a Spotify membership now because it is very helpful with kids because you just
and she likes Joe Rogan.
Yeah, and they got the 3 hours of Joe Rogan every single day. But no, just
bro, I listen.
She's got like the murder podcasts and like the running podcasts. Sorry, were you gonna say something?
No, I was. The comments were great tonight, man. I appreciate that. I was reading another one down there.
Yeah. Joe, I'm with you. Joe gets enough PR.
He does, man. I'll tell you. Well, he got the pass from that Indira Gandhi or whatever her last name is, Indira Ari. She's like, I don't think Joe Rogan's a racist. So everything's okay. Spotify stock price went up 17%.
Oh, it's all good.
That's it. Done. And he's not going to Rumble, man.
No.
Rumble offered him $100 million.
Yeah, I tried. But
I'd have taken the money.
You take the money?
Yeah.
Sell out,
$200 million, you can. I think you can craft a competitor to all that stuff.
Probably. I mean, yeah, you just do that and take all that money, and then I mean, he'd probably be fine wherever he goes. I'm pretty sure he's big enough following. People just go to him.
Yeah, we probably didn't really talk enough about the Canadian convoy. I think people are excited about that. I think we should have probably talked about that more for the show. But I'm sure it's still going to be going on next week, and there's going to be the police are going to come clear the streets soon. It's going to probably be messy. I'm really afraid of that.
Yeah, no, hopefully not. Like, yeah, I like. To me, with that topic too, like I feel like I need to come in well prepared, and it's like it's almost too serious for a Friday show. Like I want to save Friday. Like Paul, you're right. We should talk about like the Canadian convoy over or Joe Rogan, but I think both of us are like, all right, like we need to take that one seriously because there's like good issues that we should talk about.
Yeah.
Whereas today we talked about Facebook and crack pipes, and
my assemblyman has crafted a great strategy to respond to the Democratic gerrymandering. He's decided he's just going to run for Senate because that is where he's won. They gerrymandered it so the Senate district works really well for him. So he's going to jump into the Senate race. And he's a good guy. I really like him. He's very conservative. He's a religious conservative, kind of. But also, he seeks to represent everybody. I don't know. Hey, he's a good guy. I want him to do well. John Salka. John, you can come on the show. I know you're watching. I know you are.
Yeah, why not? I have to start thinking about inviting guests on, folks who are running for office. If any of y'all are running for office, let us know. Since we are like Yeah, I'll let you guys in on this. Like, since you are like we are on a radio show, we have to offer the opponents an opportunity to come on. They don't have to take it,
Right.
and it just there has to be another opportunity. Like them's the rules as we understand them. Although, fun fact, it doesn't apply to libertarians. So, like, like when I was running, I'd get kind of miffed because they'd be like, "Oh, we got to have this other person on because of equal airtime," and I'm like, "But what about me?" And they're like, "Well, you don't count." And I'm like, "I'm
You
on the
don't
ballot," and like,
really like.
no, it only applies to Republicans and Democrats. Like,
Ugh.
we can ignore you. Okay.
The two-party system has destroyed this state, and like it or not, the Republican Party is they're. I don't know if they. I've made that they're not freedom enough for me. Okay, they're just milk toast, and the guys that are running right now are making some decent amount of noise, but it's such a formula. It's like formulaic. We got a guy like Larry who wants solutions, and it was anti-mandates from the day they happened. Like I was ranting about it in lives, like the how everyone voted for the executive powers to be granted. Like it, that's not
Yeah.
representation. That's not. I don't know. I'm still depressed about that, and people are going to forget about it, right? Because we don't have to wear masks in convenience stores anymore.
That's right. I'm gonna go to Wegmans after this, and I don't have to wear a mask if I don't want to.
My
It's
dog
my
needs food,
choice
but
again.
she might wait till tomorrow. Going to bed.
Yeah, no, we realized like at dinner, like, oh shoot, we're out of bread and like several other items that we plan to eat breakfast with. So we probably need
That's
to go
gonna
shopping.
that's a problem. So it's a big all over New York State, guys. It's a big wrestling weekend. It's sectionals all over, and this determines who gets to go to the state tournament. I want to wish all of my wrestling friends and Kevin. I'm telling you, you would be amazed. I know people in Rochester. I know people in Buffalo. I know people at the Woodwards out of freaking Canastota. I know people all over New York State from wrestling, and every kid, there's so many kids still wrestling from when we were like little peewees and having them rough each other up on mats. It's just a huge weekend. I wish everybody the best of luck. I hope nobody gets hurt. I hope everybody wins every match that they want to win. Like, good luck to everybody. That's it.
Right on. It's a nice message.
Yeah, I should have did that on the radio. That would have been awesome. What was that? Oh, point counterpoint. Yeah. We'll they won't debate each other, like, they won't come out together, right?
It's with a lot of TV shows, it's like with news stuff, right? Like sometimes they'll do that. You get like three people on one side, one person on one side, and then like everyone beats up on the one person on one side. And like the way of operating that, especially if you don't have a host that's like maintaining control and actually like cutting off other people, it's
Right,
it's not like, okay, you have 15 seconds to make your point while someone else tries to shout over you.
right.
If you're lucky, you get the whole thing out. It's to me, it's unwatchable. I haven't. Maybe news has changed. I don't think I've watched MSNBC, Fox News, or CNN in like I know probably 5 years now.
Yeah, I'm coming
I
up on 5
don't
years. I'm
like. I'll
coming up
occasionally like read an article from
yeah.
them, but yeah, sorry, I don't. I
Catch
don't watch the stations. It's not.
catch a clip on something, they say something
Yeah, right.
ridiculous, somebody shares the clip, I watch a little bit of it. I was making fun of Tucker Carlson because he did this whole thing where he made fun of Nancy Pelosi for looking like Michael Jackson, and I was like, "That's not even good political commentary, bud." Like, I don't know what to
Yeah,
tell you, like,
can't all be winners, I guess. And that's why Joe Rogan cannot be stopped.
that's right.
I know that Shelley made that comment related to something else, I think, but because
He's
Tucker Carlson needs to step up his political comedy, and that's why Joe Rogan. No,
yeah.
just
I
drawing all sorts of conclusions now.
So look, Trudeau can't handle. I think that the issue now should be honestly, Paul. I think Justin Trudeau should resign. I think he's really bad. First, he tried to deny that the convoy existed. Then he called them misandrous or
Said
misogynist and
they're
racist.
racist, anti-Semitic,
Yeah.
and it just like threw all of them out there. Like I saw that
Oh,
tweet, and I'm like,
uh, It's like
Come on, like, is that what that feels like a Hail Mary move, man.
it was a Hail Mary, man. It was like it was embarrassing, right? It was embarrassing. It's like this try to marginalize them. Maybe they'll go away. Oh, they're mad about roads. Maybe they'll go away. No, they're mad about mandates. They're mad about lockdowns. And they're mad about the fact that you're taking their livelihood away and messing with it so they can't deliver goods back and forth across a border.
Oh man. So
Imaginary.
you know what? I would have loved to talk about for this. There's the Canadians right now. There's a bunch of folks who are like, "Oh, this is an AstroTurf protest. This is the Americans and possibly the American government trying to
Oh my God.
interfere in Canadian politics."
I did
Have you
some
seen some
lady
of this stuff?
some lady was talking about Trump, how it's Trump fans up here in Canada making a mess, and she's like, and I'm telling you, she's like on city council. I wish I could remember her name, but I couldn't care enough to remember her name. But she's like, she cannot wait until they issue a clear the streets order. She's a petty authoritarian, and she's literally dangerous. Okay, like she's dangerous, and there's a lot of people like that, that are in positions of petty power that are going to advocate for violence against these guys and girls and Muslims and Jews and all of the people that are there. Okay.
Mhm.
They're going to advocate for violence against them and they're going to get it. And that really bothers me.
Yeah. All right. But we'll guys, we're gonna cover this more next week. I know
We are
it's
because
what it is.
it's going to be, it's going to
It's
take a week or two for this to cycle out.
Yeah, still think it's gonna be a thing. All right, but I think we're gonna call it a night. Thanks everyone for listening. Appreciate the online audience for sticking with us too. Thank you for being here. And guys, if you're catching this later, remember like Thursday evenings, we're always doing we're doing this, right? Like
Yeah.
we pre-record our Friday show, so that means that if you're listening online too, you get some bonus content. So we love having you here. We love seeing your
Yeah.
comments.
Thank you, Paula. That
Thanks,
means a lot.
Paula.
Yeah, and thanks everybody, Logic and Shelly, and I think it was Brian that was out there coming in on our free solution guest page, and it's good stuff. We appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right, thanks again for listening. We're gonna call it a night. Take care, guys.